Let's go to Mark in Savannah, Georgia. What's up, Mark?
Hey, Dr. John, I'm partying. How are you?
Party of do. Good to hear it, man. What's up?
Well, hey, so a couple months ago, you had an episode where a woman called in and she and her husband had bought a farm and were in the process of fixing it or just trying to make the farm life work. And I actually listened to that as we were doing some work on our farm to close on it because we were in the same boat and kind of working on escaping from it. And we're out of that now. We're in a new whole situation, new life, which is much better. I guess I just kind of wondering how to move forward and kind of fix some of the issues that came up from all that, everything we went through within that.
What issues came up?
So the kind of situation was we bought this old rundown farm. The house needed fixed up. The whole property needed a lot of work. So it was just a lot of time and energy going into that.
Okay, hold on. So that means before that, did y'all have a dream?
Yeah, it'd been our dream for a long time to have a farm and raise our kids with animals and have it be, a peaceful, the quiet farm life that we kind of were imagining.
Have you ever been on a farm? It's all death and sex and poop. That's basically a farm.
Yeah. That's a good point. But yeah, that was our dream going into it.
Okay, how long have y'all been married?
10 years.
Okay. So that's a long time of watching HGTV videos and YouTube videos and like going through Zillow over and over again. Like, right?
Yep.
Yes. Okay. So you got this farm, you're going to fix it up. You're going to learn, you can just YouTube everything. And it's a nightmare, right?
Yeah.
Hey, listen, here's why I'm laughing.
That worked before, but
here's why I'm laughing. I live on a similar situation, and my wife grew up that way. And so I had the luxury of being like, here's what we're going to do. And she's like, you're an idiot. That's not how that's going to work at all. And anyway, I was just on the phone with the guy. Just before this call, I was on the phone before the show started with the guys who came out to service my well and something in our spring. I literally have no idea what they're talking about, but I nodded, and I was like, yeah, that sounds great. So good good for you. Okay, so disaster. You'll have this dream. Y'all think about it. You plan together. You dream together. It's just going to be this blissful thing where animals just peacefully die so you can eat them, and crops just grow themselves, and it always rains. Okay, so here you are. Then what?
So, yeah, we got into it. We started doing the house, which I had some background doing that work as well, so I wasn't quite as naive, I guess, maybe as he made out to be.
Well, it's not that. People know how to hang drywall and fix joists. They don't know how to do that and be married at the same time.
Sure.
That's the
nightmare. On top of that, I was starting a new marketing company, which is my main job that I do.
Why not? Why wouldn't we do that? That sounds fantastic. Excellent. Good job.
And we have 3 kids that are under 7.
Absolutely. Why not?
So it was just everything piling on, as you're pointing out there. And I, as you can imagine, we got to the point where we were just going to implode if we didn't change something. And we kind of powered through all of it. Obviously, it was stressful basically from day one. And we kind of powered through. I found myself kind of having the dynamic of I'm going to be the strong one and put on a bold face and not, show that I'm struggling with this. And my wife was kind of the opposite and struggling a lot through it all and going along with it just to kind of make me happy or try and, make the dream continue to work and whatnot. But it was slowly just going to a really bad place. And we finally got to that breaking point and said, and it was kind of more her telling me, I can't continue this, or I have to get out of the situation because everything feels so unhealthy that we got to get away from it. So
good for her.
We finally did. And yeah, we feel so much better being away from it, but it's just going through all that put us in such a weird place. And I feel like now we know that there was some trauma and a lot of hurt from that. It's just hard to identify what it even is or talk about it. I feel like a lot of times it's hard for us to even just talk, and we'll just watch something or look at our phones to kind of fill the silence. It's hard to even know, where to begin thinking through all this stuff as well.
So did anything happen that caused a rift? Did you cheat on her? Or
no.
Did you say something to her? Did she hit you? I mean, is there anything like of that nature that there's these unspoken elephants in the room that we got to address?
No, nothing. I know, not an unspoken thing. The only thing is, she got to the point where she said, if we, I was kind of continuing to try and build my new business and make the dream work. Like I said, I was kind of putting on the brave face, and she was more the one kind of saying, this isn't working. And she got to the point where she said, if you're going to keep pursuing this, I have to leave and I will divorce you.
Okay.
And that was kind of like, that really was the breaking point for me of saying, okay, it's either the dream or my marriage. And I'm, happily going to choose my marriage. So
hold on. Are you happy about that choice?
Yes, 100%.
Okay. When a guy tells me he's putting on a brave face, what I hear in my mind is, I'm leaving my wife. I am unplugging from her, and I am surrounding myself in a sheet of iron so that I can just plow ahead. Mm-hmm. And when I do that, she is unplugged. She's untethered. I've left her. I might sleep in her same bed. I might eat at her same table, but I have left her in pursuit of. And so what she was identifying was, you've left me. I'm just going to make it formal. Yeah. Is that fair? And
absolutely.
Most of the time, I don't think guys want to do that. I think y'all got in a dance, right? I've got to keep this thing going. She's like, I got to keep this thing going. And both of y'all were waiting for the other person to say, I'm out, right? Mm-hmm. And so she was just going to formalize it. Often, so here's a couple of things. When you think of trauma, you failed at a thing, and that's okay. Have you ever failed at anything before? Did you ever get an F in school or get fired from a job?
Yeah, a few times.
Okay. So this is, my boss, Dave, says, all success is built on a pile of failures. Mm-hmm. And so it's setting back and saying, okay, we had this dream. And it's the death of a dream. It's the death of a picture of who y'all were going to be. Right. Yeah. And so you have to acknowledge, you got to grieve it. Here's what we wanted, and that's not going to happen. Mm-hmm. And until you do that, most people skip that step and then go, okay, well, then we're going to live a suburban life and do this. And you're going to find yourself with two 2024 Tahoes that you can't afford and a big house you can't afford. And you're going to be trying to start another business, and right, you're going to be running and chasing instead of saying, we both really wanted this life and it wasn't what we thought it was cracked up to be. And we both realized we don't talk as well as we thought. And we both realized, and she gets to say, here's what she realized. Here's what she learned about her husband. And you get to say, here's what I learned about my wife. And here's our new reality. We got to own that. And then we get to decide, what is it going to look like next? And you're going to be tenuous it's going to feel awkward to build a new dream because y'all built one and it imploded on you. Yeah. Is that fair?
Yeah. Yeah.
And so here's another thing. You've probably heard me talk about pictures and words a lot. The reason I think reading is so powerful, and my wife was a literacy scholar. The reason I think reading is so important, because it allows every reader to read something and they concoct the picture in their mind. And when we watch something on TV, it says it looks like that. It spoon feeds us the picture. Here's where that's important. You said we wanted this peaceful life where we were all together, and you started creating sentiment behind a picture, but HGTV told you what that had to look like.
Sure.
And instead of that, I would rather you go back to the values, the principles, the feelings that you thought you were going to get by having this life, and try to build that wherever you are. Mm-hmm. So we want a peaceful life. We want an off-grid life. We want an accomplished life where we do things together. You see what I'm getting at? You could do that in a 3-bedroom, 2-bath house in the middle of some rando suburb.
Sure.
You can get off the grid and get solar panels and turn your backyard and your front yard into. My friend Pete did that. He just plowed up his whole front yard and planted food there. My friend Alex did that in his backyard. It's just awesome. So you can create that life wherever you are, but HGTV isn't the one responsible for what that ends up looking like. You and your wife are.
Right.
Does that make sense? And so it's going back and saying, okay, how do we rebuild this thing? Let's start with what we want this to feel like and look like, and let's go from there.
Sure. Yeah, no, that totally makes sense. I think that's something we've kind of started looking at and discussing, and trying to figure out what's at the core behind why we wanted that and how can we achieve that? So I think that definitely makes sense.
Can I be super honest with you?
Yeah.
I feel like you're not telling me something. What is it? She almost walked out. Why? What was at the core of that?
I think you hit it when you talked about what it means to put on a brave face. So the kind of the main issue that came up is she just saying, I need more communication.
Okay.
And yeah, I wasn't communicating with her because a lot of what I would tell her is, hey, this one project didn't go as smooth as I hoped it would, or this is going to cost more money, or this is worse than we thought it was.
But did you hear how that translates to? My husband's lying to me.
Yeah.
See what I'm saying?
Yeah.
And that untethers relationships. When somebody, I mean, there's a few things that make somebody feel unsafe when they know somebody's keeping secrets from them.
Right.
Because we usually don't keep secrets of great stuff going on.
Yeah.
Have you sat down and said, I wasn't honest with you and I'm sorry and I'm healing from that? I tried to hide stuff from you and I shouldn't have done that. Have y'all had that conversation?
Not directly. Some of that stuff came to head and then I kind of had to say, oh, well, here's how this actually went. I didn't quite tell you all of it necessarily. And we kind of talked through, I told her, the reason I did it was to try and, save you the stress of having to worry about it. But I maybe we haven't necessarily claimed it as what it was.
Well, that's that. I mean, again, I want you to hear that how she hears it. I'm the grown up here and you're the child. I'm going to protect you from it. You don't worry your pretty little head. Yeah. And she's probably pretty dang smart, right?
Yeah. Oh, yeah.
And she probably considers herself an equal. So here's where all this heads. I would love for you to sit down and write an honest letter to her. Mm-hmm. We are now, how long has it been since you moved?
3 months now, I think.
Okay. So we are 3 months out. 90 days ago, we finally got out of a mess. And we dreamed about this mess and we dreamed about this life that we were going to have. And now that particular dream is over, period. Mm-hmm. Here's what I realized I did over that time trying to keep that dream alive. I didn't tell you the truth. I left you. I was absent. I got more focused on trying to save the business than I did trying to connect with my wife and my kids and all the things.
Right.
And then I want y'all to go out and I want you to read that to her. And the end of that letter is something along the lines of, I'm ready to start building something new when you're ready. Because you don't want her to feel pressure to get up and start creating a new thing when she's still wrestling with the last time I created something, I was told I was a child and I was left in the dark and I almost lost everything. That makes sense?
Yeah, that does.
It's that magic we talked about on the last call. This is vulnerability. This is you saying, I'm sorry. Yeah. And I'm ready to get back in the game when you are. And not pressuring her or this. I mean, you're all in a good situation right now? Job-wise, home-wise, all that?
Yeah, we are. Yeah, absolutely. Okay. Much better.
Okay. There's not a rush. Maybe 6 months, a year of just kind of being and then discovering what comes next.
Yeah.
Can you wait that long?
I think so. I think we kind of got burnout on going for it as hard as we did. So we're kind of at a point where, the relaxing and taking it easy sounds good for a little while.
Okay. And here's I'm trying to think of, so this will happen again. One or both of you will fail at something in the future. Mm-hmm. We're not trying to live a failure-free life. That's not a goal. That's not something I want to minimize failure. I want to be smart about it, but it's going to happen. I'm going to do some football coaches call the exact right play, the right, statistically speaking, the momentum, everything's right, and it just doesn't work. The play doesn't work. The guy falls down. Somebody doesn't guard just right. Whatever happens, you're going to fail. The goal is, okay, what can we do different next time so that we don't get caught in this dance that we end up way in debt, we end up way in a hole, we end up having to lie to each other, and one of you ends up saying, I'm out. So here's an example. I'm going to be very 30,000 feet here because I want to honor my I don't want to just air my dirty laundry out, but my wife and I went to dinner the other night, and what normally would have been a 3 or 4 months of me like doing the silent treatment, of me like, and then her responding to the silent treatment with going very introspective, trying to dude, we went to dinner and like in 45 minutes, we figured it out. Because I stopped it way up. I said, hey, here's how I'm feeling right now. And I'm being vulnerable putting this out on the table. And it makes me feel awkward and weird because I'm a grown man from Texas. I don't like talking about this stuff. But here's how I feel right now. And she said, oh, gosh. A, I'm sorry you feel like that way. B, I 100% get where you're coming from. And now let's figure out what we do next. And it literally was 45 minutes. So that's not the issues. The issues were a big deal. They were a big deal. It was the strategy and the skill set heading into that just made it a pretty relatively, it's going to sound super weird. It was an intimacy forming conversation. It's one of those that you got done with it and we're like, I'm glad we did that. I'm glad we had that conversation.
Yeah.
Now I feel even better about our relationship instead of it being a 3-month ordeal and she's going to leave me. All that stupid stuff. See what I'm saying?
Yeah. Yeah.
So what are the skills y'all can walk away with? I think that's where we're heading into this thing. And maybe when you, in this letter, you tell her, I'm going to commit from this point forward. I will never keep a secret from you again. I will always commit to telling you when things are great. And I will commit to telling you when things are tough. I'll also commit to listening. And I'll always commit to keeping you informed. Here's what it's going to look like. I would propose once a week, we're going to have a budget meeting and a calendar meeting and a check-in. How are you doing? How are things going? And ask her, what would be a good gift to you in this season? And by the way, those gifts will change. The seasons will change. But right now, what's the best way we could plug back in? And let her speak into it and commit not to doing your own thing to fix it, but to listening to her and helping meet her needs as y'all figure this thing out moving forward. Congratulations. I'm proud of you, man. Y'all went for it. You got in the ring and you saw the biggest dude there and you swung as hard as you could. He just hit you back, right? And that happens. That's life. I've got a trail of failures in my life. That's part of it. It's part of it.